Greetings, Orangeburg County School District parents. Hayward John here, Director of Student Services for the Orangeburg County School District. On behalf of our department, the Department of Student Services, and our entire school district, we want to take some time to encourage you parents. Now again, this is just for parents, but if anyone else is listening, we'll allow you to eavesdrop just a little bit. Now I include myself in this discussion with parents because I am the father of 3 children that attend our school district. They are dynamic children. Your children are dynamic children. Your children are phenomenal. Yes, they are. Your children are great. Your children have so much inside of them that the world needs in order for the world to get better. Why? Because your children are built to do great things. They're designed to do things that the world has never seen and things that are going to uplift their community, to even uplift your household. As parents though, as I speak so much greatness into your children or about your children, even over your children, I take the time to do the same thing for you. Parents, you're phenomenal. You're dynamic. You're extraordinary. You're awesome. There are things inside of you that's so great. You know how I know there are things inside of you that are great? Because those phenomenal children I talked about, they came out of you. Those phenomenal children that I'm speaking of, your children, that is your evidence of how great you are, because those great beings came out of you. I'm going to take a moment and just pause on that because that part got me excited. Because sometimes when I need to be reminded of the great things inside of me, I can just look at my children. I just look at my children and say, wow, if my phenomenal children came out of me, I know, came out of my wife, as those phenomenal children came out of you as parents, that is proof of the great things that you're able to produce. Our children are like symbols to remind us of hope. I heard Whitney Houston say, remind us of how we used to be. Let's be real. Our children are our reflections. They mirror us. So when you look at them, whether you may look at them with happiness or you may have to look at them with that mama look or that daddy look, let's look at them and say, ooh, you don't have to tell them this so they don't use it against you. But let's look at them and say, wow, that's me. My children often remind me of how I used to be, remind me of things that I do well. When I look at them, sometimes they remind me of things that I need to improve on because they reflect me. I even tell that to educators, that when you spend time with children long enough, especially with the school year, they tend to reflect your habits, your practices. Why? Because you've been instructing them. And I talk to you as parents. You've been instructing them. So while you may be going through, we're all going through, this pandemic, but let's look at this and say, hey, during this pandemic, they have watched me. They have heard me. Now, while I may have been giving them information indirectly or directly, meaning I've been telling them things purposely for them to do something that I need them to do or you need them to do as parents, or they just overheard things that you've said, things you've spoken. That's teaching them. Our children are like sponges. Our children are constantly soaking up information because they need information to grow. While they need food to grow, as the body needs food to grow, their minds need information to grow. And that information is coming from so many different places. It's coming from you as parents, their primary sources of inspiration. That's what you are. Your primary models, your supermodels, I like to call you, because you're super in what you do, because to them, man, there's nothing you can't do. But not only that, they're getting information from social media, educators, friends, what they watch on television, what they listen to in music, video games, toys even, especially if they're talking toys. But they're constantly getting information. We're in an information season and we're in an information age where information is also so much more accessible that it's not just about going to the library to get information out of the encyclopedia like back in the day. Now they can get information by the click of a button. Again, information overload, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, wherever people are talking, and sharing things, information. I harp on that for a reason, because information without inspiration will lead to devastation. Information without proper inspiration can lead to devastation, because information has to be facilitated. What do I mean by that? Information has to be controlled to a certain point where you give our children the information that they need to be successful for that moment, that they need to be successful according to their developmental age. I'll say it one more time. They need information that's going to help them be successful according to where they are developmentally. What am I saying? All right, we'll say it like this. My daughter is 7 years old. There's only so much I can give her now as it relates to the subject of driving. So when I'm driving, of course, right now she's watching me. She's seeing how her daddy drives. She's watching how her mom drives. And that right there, along with some simple techniques I may share with her, those things allow her to get information that's necessary for her developmental age. But it's going to come to a certain point. Oh boy, what am I saying right now? It's going to come to a certain point when our children, my daughter, I'm sorry, y'all. I need a moment. I'm talking about my daughter driving soon. But in a few years, I'm going to have to now, according to her developmental age, I'm going to have to now get her to a place where she's sitting in the front seat. Okay, it's a new level. And I'm giving her information that she can use at her developmental age. There'll be a time when she'll be sitting in the driver's seat and I'll be in the passenger side and I'll be coaching her because she's driving. Again, now can I do that at 7 years old? Not at all. But what if I gave her the opportunity to drive at 7, this age, and I was trying to teach her? Well, that's information she can't handle right now. So it's developmentally inappropriate. And I told you, information without proper inspiration could lead to devastation, meaning I'm improperly inspiring her to drive at 7, and that could lead to a devastating, the rest of it. So I want to encourage you with these words. It's actually the title of this whole session. And that is, parents, be reminded that all you have is all you need. Now, if I was home, I took the tie off, I took the jacket off, and I just had my hoodie on, and I was just talking to my friends or my wife, I would say it like this: all you got is all you need. Most times when I'm sharing this, I'll say it just like that. All you got is all you need. Parents, I need you to know that you have all you need. Now, I want to say that emphatically because, especially in this pandemic has exposed so many weaknesses. This pandemic has exposed weaknesses in our community. It's exposed weaknesses in things we need to do better in education. It's exposed weaknesses in things that we need to do, even for me, as parents, as a husband, as a father, as an entrepreneur, and everything. It's exposed so many weaknesses that so many times we could be going through what we're going through from a deficit mentality. What do I mean, deficit mentality? We can be going through all these things thinking that we don't have enough to even make ends meet in life, meaning not just financially. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about ends meet in believing that there's hope. I'm talking about being able to believe that where I am right now, I don't have enough to be successful because the pandemic has hurt, it's taken so much away. And so when I say going through with a deficit mentality, meaning you only do what you do as parents based on what you think you don't have. And that's not the mentality to go through, especially a pandemic or any time, whether pandemic or not. You never go through parenting. You don't parent or you don't educate from a mentality of what you don't have. Here's how I want to help you and encourage you, because this encouraged me. I promise you it did. I go through it with a mindset of what I do have. Because it's easy to harp on what I don't have. It's easy to do that. But when you do that, what starts to happen? This word called despair. We start getting so frustrated with what you don't have that you feel there's no hope. And so what that mentality produces is, what's the use? And then you do nothing. It's paralyzing. It's crippling when you do it from a mentality of what I don't have. But when you build your success in your life, and when you parent based on what you have, or like I said earlier, based on what you got, then you start taking into account the things you do have. While there may be so much that I don't have, trust me, as a parent, there's a lot that I wish I had. And growing up without my father, there's a lot that I wish I would have received in watching him. But instead of looking at what I didn't have as a father, when my children, especially my firstborn son, oh man, that's another story for another day. When my first son, when my wife told me that I was gonna be a father, I flipped, because I'm like, what am I gonna do? I don't have this, I don't have that. I didn't have this, I didn't have that. And I had to stop and realize, okay, I know what you didn't have, but what I do have could actually be more valuable than what I don't have. So I started looking at, what do I have? What can I provide this child? And then I started looking at the intelligence that I have. I started looking at the brain that I have. I started looking at the resilience, the ability to bounce back. I started looking at the gifts and talents inside of me, the grit, that no nonsense, that I'm gonna make it, that we're gonna do great things. I started looking at the talents that I have. And I started looking at, man, I actually have something that I can offer. Parents, I wanna help you realize this. And some of you know this, so I want you to help me help other parents. All you have is all you need. You have plenty. You have plenty of greatness inside of you. You have things you've gone through in life, whether it be things to do and things not to do. You have that. But particularly when it comes to education, parents have now been thrust into the profession of education without taking the education test to get your certificate. Parents have all been thrust into this world now where you have to be what we've been telling educators a long time ago. You have to be the facilitators of instruction. Well, before the pandemic, I would always tell parents, watch this, you're the first teachers anyway. I would say it all the time. If you were ever, as when I was a principal at Mellichamp, if you were ever in my assemblies, I would often allude to that statement that you are the first teachers, that we are helping you do what you do best. And it's not that we're filling in gaps so much, more than what we're doing is collaborating or partnering with you. But now you've taken another role in the partnership. And I know it could be a lot, it could be very intimidating. And I'll tell you this as parents, and I hope you don't shut me off right now, I'm gonna say something. As parents, now, this is where we're going to have to live, facilitating instruction. Now some of you are saying, oh yes, I realize that, because what I saw and what I'm watching now, I need to be more involved in education. I need to be more involved. I need to be advocates for teachers because they really work. I need to also myself be aware of what I have witnessed, and I need to be more involved in that process so my kids can be. Now you realize we can't make it. Education can't make it without proper parent partnership. We need you. But not only that, you need us. We need each other. But parents, again, to continue to encourage you, all you have is all you need. Now, I know you might be saying, no, I do need this. I need that. Well, here's what I'm saying by that. All you have, meaning one thing you have is the ability to ask questions. I know it sounds pretty simple, but let me help you. Sometimes when we ask questions, we may feel like because we're not getting the right answers, or because we're not getting answers at all, we're thinking we're asking, watch this, the wrong questions. Here is what I want to give you. This is this point that helped me a lot. Sometimes it's not that we're asking the wrong questions. It's just that we're asking the wrong people. Okay, I'm sorry, let me calm down. Sometimes it's not that you're asking the wrong questions. It's that you're asking the wrong people. You're asking people that can't help you, or many times don't want to help you. Let's be real. Some people just, you ask them and they just don't feel like it, and they have what you need, but they don't feel like giving it to you. You ever been through that before, where you've asked things of people and you know they have what you need and they just don't want to give it up for whatever reason? That doesn't mean you stop asking. That doesn't mean you stop seeking for the information you need. You got to keep going. I told you have resilience inside of you. Resilience means you have the ability to bounce back, but you also have persistence. You have the ability to continue. Look where you are right now. Man, you made it. I'm telling you, you got some great things, parents, because there are some parents that are really struggling through this. And even them, they're more successful than they realize. But you clicking on this video right now to see this session already proves that you have some great things inside of you. You have the ability to seek information. That's what you're doing right now. So ask the right people. How do you know you're asking the right people? Because you're going to get the right answer, which means you don't stop asking until you get the right answer. And now watch this. When you keep asking the right people will help you formulate your question. Meaning the right people will help you maybe fix the question a little bit. Not that's the wrong question, but they're going to help you craft it in such a way that you'll get the exact answer you need. Sometimes I take calls from people, parents or anybody, and sometimes they ask questions to me, and sometimes they don't quite know how they want to say their question, but at least they're asking. And through collaboration and conversation, we actually come to the right question. See, a lot of people are looking for right answers, but really it's about right questions. And when you get the right people together, they'll help you with that question. So don't be intimidated about your question. Just simply ask, and the right people will help you with that question. Another thing I want to help you as parents, you have the ability to do what? Model. You have the ability to model, to be examples for your children. I want to harp on this for a little bit. I want to emphasize this point because while they watch us as educators, they do. I have parents many times that tell me, when I go home, all they tell me, I'm trying to help them with their homework, and they say, Mr. John said, and the parents even told me, Mr. John don't live here. Mr. John ain't your parent. Mr. John didn't cook for you tonight. And it's so funny to hear that. What they're saying is, I'm your model. I'm your model. The teachers, they help assist me with what I'm doing at home. So parents, again, your example has so much weight. I would even say it has more weight many times than the educators because they wake up with you. They came out of you. Don't neglect the power inside of you because you produce these great children. So what you do, I'm talking about not even what you say, I'll talk about that later, but what you do has powerful implications. What you do is powerful when it comes to our young people because they watch you. Because one day, I think it was a senior night. Man, it was amazing to watch this. I was watching senior night, it was an athletic game. Watching senior night, and I watched a father and a son walk up to receive their senior gift. And y'all, I don't think I've ever seen it like this before. They were walking the exact same way. They looked the same. It was like two of the same people walking side by side. And I said, now that is a great example of how parents are the models for their children. I mean, they weren't even trying. He wasn't looking at his dad like walk, but I picture that when he was probably younger, he constantly watched his dad walk. And association breeds assimilation, means what you're around long enough, you'll automatically start doing and becoming without even knowing it. Your children are becoming like you. I'm not gonna tell you they're becoming you. They're becoming a likeness of you. We have the ability to produce that. So what do you want to produce? What type of example? You might say, well, I want my children to be a doctor, but I'm not a doctor, so how am I going to be a model for that? No, here's a way you can model for your children how you want them to be. Watch this. You can get a book from the library that has exactly what you want our children to be. You can get a book from the library. You can open up a book about being a doctor, and without even reading it to them, let them see you reading a book about what it is they want to be or you want them to be. Let them see you reading the book. You can do it for real. You can even do an experiment and act like you're doing it and watch their example. That's how powerful your example is. And say something like, wow. Here's where I'm going with this. When they see you excited about things like that, modeling things, when they see you excited about simply being an example in front of them, they're going to automatically want to do it because you just made it look great. You made it look exciting. So be a model. Act the way you want them to act. Demonstrate responses the way you want them to respond to life. Again, be the model. The next thing you have the ability to do is watch this. As parents, all you have the ability to celebrate. Guys, I tell you parents, more than ever, we have to celebrate everything that is worth celebrating. Everything. I'm not saying you celebrate bad grades or celebrate bad behavior. What I am saying is don't do to our children somehow we do to ourselves, come from a what you don't have mentality. Your kid may not have made straight A's. Your kid might not have made the honor roll. But if they showed some success somewhere, definitely help them with the thing they need to work on. But find ways to celebrate the things that they did well so that can multiply. See, a lot of times when we harp on the negative and we only talk about what they don't do, all they start doing is what we don't want them to do because that's the thing that we gave attention to. Again, that's what we fed. Whatever you feed will grow. So if you feed the weaknesses of them, the weaknesses will grow. But if you feed the strengths of them, the strengths will grow, and that will eradicate and eliminate the weaknesses. So build on their strengths by celebrating them. That's something we do at our house is when our children do something really, really good, I don't care if it's something they did well, a question they asked in class that was awesome, or whatever great thing that they feel is worth celebrating, because we ask them, what did you do that was successful? And we ask them that. Man, sometimes we'll do a big celebration. We just kind of make noise. I'm not saying we get balloons or a cake or anything like that. We just simply go nuts in the house. Yeah, you did that. Oh, and we just start going crazy for them. Or we get them in a circle, or we do a circle. The child we're celebrating, put that child in a circle, and we just give them a little pep rally in the middle of our floor. And that simple thing gets my middle school excited, my middle schooler excited, my fourth grader excited, and my first grader excited. You can do it for your senior in high school. You can do it for your college freshman. You can do it for the pre-K student. You can do it for your parents. Everybody likes to be celebrated because it's something inside of us that it needs. We all have an inherent desire to need to be uplifted. It's important that we do that. Celebrate. That's what you have. You have that ability. Another thing you have the ability to do, I kind of gave you a little example of it, is to read. You have the ability to take a book and read to children. That has powerful implications beyond what you could ever imagine. Reading to our children. My wife does a read aloud. She does many read alouds on social media. What am I saying? Even if you say, well, I don't have the time or I'm tired or whatever, you can put on a YouTube video of somebody reading and put your children in front of it. I'm telling you, this works for all ages. I'm being really serious. Now, I know you might look at me and say, well, my high schooler, read aloud, I don't know about that. Read alouds are powerful. Reading is powerful. Simply getting a book. For my children, sometimes I might not read the whole book. I may get 1 or 2, 3 pages. If it's a short book, I read the whole one. If it's a long book, do it in a series of days. Just simply sitting down. It has, not only does it give an example of what reading should sound like or look like, but it gives y'all the opportunity to pause and stop the day and gather yourselves on a focused area. It's family time, and it helps them get language inside of them that's going to allow them to be successful adults, because you're raising them to be adults. So don't neglect the power of reading books. Don't neglect the power of letting them sit and hear what reading sounds like. Whether you're reading, whether you're ensuring that your kids listen to your teachers reading, if you put a YouTube video or social media where people are doing read alouds of great books, those have powerful results when you allow your children to listen to what good reading sounds like. The last thing that you have the power to do is to speak life. Yeah, I said it, speak life, because speaking now more than ever has a lot of powerful results as well. Because like I told you about the power of modeling, you can model things with your behaviors, but your language must also reflect the behaviors you want our children to do, the behaviors you want to see. So you can't just do something and then say the opposite. So if we tell our children to read and we don't model reading, it conflicts with each other. You got to hear them hearing you say positive things. You got to hear them seeing you respond to life. Again, it's not saying that there's an absence of reality when you speak life. It doesn't say when you speak life that you're not aware of all the negative things happening around you. No, speaking life means I know what I see, but I'm not going to let what I see dictate and negatively affect what I believe. Speaking life helps you and helps our children to see that there is hope. Because what we're going through right now, we're not going to be here always. This is not going to last. You will outlast it. See, I'm speaking life right now. We're going to outlast the things that we're going through, but they got to hear you. You provide more hope many times than the teachers in front of them. But what happens when the teachers in front of them are providing hope and speaking life, and you're in front of them providing hope and speaking life? We produce hopeful children. So beware of people that are not speaking life, that are not speaking positivity into your children, that are not saying what your children can do and not just simply saying what your children can't do. Watch out for those things, because you want them to tell you the truth about what your children are not doing. But be careful about allowing even yourself to say what they can't do. Don't limit them, but speak life into them. And what they can't do right now that you need them to do, speak what you want them to do until you see them do it. Model it for them, help them develop those skills. I say it like this: say what you want to see until you see what you said you saw in your mind. Say what you want to see. So what you saw in your mind, I want you to see it. Get the vision for your children about what you want them to be, about what you want to see. Get that vision and then say it out loud. Say what you want to see until you see what you said you saw. Parents, again, this is Hayward John, Director of Student Services. I just wanted to encourage you a little bit with things that have encouraged me as a parent. And what you have or what you got is all you need. Now, while we may not have covered everything you wanted, I hope we gave you a little bit of what you needed just to get through this year that we've never seen before. And we just want to keep you uplifted and encouraged. Again, we're here to help you discover the genius in your children by maybe helping you discover the genius inside of you, parents. Take care.